So it's finally happened. Finally happened. Took 1.6 to get a buff to Electro and Anemo, but it finally managed to do it, and that is... I finally was able to clear Spiral Abyss all the way, but I needed to do it off stream, and I finally managed to get the last star I was missing on Chamber 3. And I did it. It took a buff to Electro and Anemo in patch 1.6. I'm a little sad on disappointed in myself that it took that, but I finally was able to do it. And I also think it's a little bit poetic that I was able to beat it all by bringing back my first DPS character that I was using at the start of the game, Fischl. I'm switching her to a support to a main DPS again, just to test her out a little bit for fun, especially since I now have her at C6. I kind of just wanted to see how well she did, and then I thought I had a chance to complete Spiral Abyss, and then I did it with Fischl, so I'm actually pretty happy about that, so I think it's a little poetic. That being said, I'm going to show the builds of my characters. So the first half consisted of these 4 characters, and really only Fischl and Bennett were really built. Xiangling is pretty well built. Any difference between 1.5 and 1.6 other than Fischl is that between Bennett and Xiangling I've actually leveled up their talents a bit higher. And then for the second half I ended up using this team, which is a heck of a lot more built. Ganyu being my main DPS character. It was very well built. Venti, I ended up stealing Sucrose's Elemental Mastery artifacts and put it on Venti, and then he went to absolute work with the new buff. And then Jean and Diona are pretty well built respectively as well. Yeah, Fischl level 85 out of 90, and she's being super loud. I gave her the Skyward Harp just to try it out. Took it from Ganyu, and it proved to be really great. Especially now with her stats. Not the perfect 1-to-2 ratio on the crit, but it's still above 50% crit rate, which is totally fine for me. Loads of attack, not a lot of elemental mastery since this is a physical DPS build. I don't find that she needs too much energy recharge, so 130 is just fine. And then 73 physical damage. Xiangling, only level 70 out of 80. And in this case I used the prototype Star Glitter. Sometimes I use Crescent Pike on her, but I went with this one this time. Stats are okay. She has really old artifacts, but the energy recharge really helps her get her burst up, which is what she was used for. Artifacts are as follows. And his bad luck. That being said, oh my gosh, his base attacks is 666. No wonder why he has such terrible luck. Regardless of that, again, focus on energy recharge, so he has an amazing 200% energy recharge. I gave him a little bit more pyro damage so that he could do a little more damage, especially against the electro characters. And Zhongli, not really invested, still only level 60. Only a 3-star weapon, Black Tassel, but it gives HP, which means that his shield gets stronger. And not the best ratios, although I did stack HP as you can see. They pretty much ignored everything else. He doesn't have a lot of... He doesn't need a lot of cost on his burst, so I didn't really go all that try hard on the energy recharge, but I did give him geo damage so that he could hit a little harder when he hits. Okay, and for the second half team, I have my much better built team for the most part, and we have Ganyu. In this case, I gave her the Blackcliff Warbow because Skyward Harp was given to Fischl, and this is the first weapon I used on Ganyu. I think it works pretty well. Critical damage is pretty good. Her stats are as follows. You notice the low crit rate, however, she does end up getting a bunch of crit rate by 1, the Cryo Resonance with Diona, and as well as one of her passive talents gives her some more critical rate. So having low critical rate on Ganyu is okay, and stacking critical damage is totally fine. We have Jean, who was actually level 60 out of 70, but just before recording, I ended up ascending her further. Okay, and finally we have Diona, who I focused mainly on gaining HP and some energy recharge for the most part, and really haven't focused on improving past that. Sacrificial Bow, her best in-slot weapon. So far only at level 80. Maybe one day I'll get it to level 90. But she doesn't really need it. And here are the artifacts. And finally, Venti, who has had probably the most change on this team since 1.5 to 1.6. Stringless, best in-slot weapon, period, now with the Elemental Mastery buff and a Nemo buff. These are his stats. A decent 639 Elemental Mastery. You probably want to aim for higher than this if you're going for perfectness. And his crit rate to crit damage ratio is actually pretty close to 2 to 1, so this is actually not terrible. And then 165 energy recharge is pretty good. You kind of want to aim for 170, I believe. And here are his artifacts. For Goblet, you'd still want to go for a Nemo damage, not Elemental Mastery. And as for the Circlet, you can go Elemental Mastery, or you can also go crit, depending on what your team is. And basically, if you're using a character like Bennett, then you kind of want to go crit, because you do get an attack bonus from Bennett from his burst. And now, because I finally beat Spiral Abyss and got the perfect 36-star clear, what that has made me decide to do is basically Ganyu, Fischl, and Venti are going to be the 3 characters I get to level 90. Because I still don't have a character at level 90. I've been holding off. It hasn't been necessary to do most of the game, but I feel like Ganyu, Venti, and Fischl deserve it. And so that's what I'm going to do after I finish getting Zhongli to level 70.
for takeoff.
Think you can bully me? Can't handle your drink.
This is long overdue. Here we go. Yep, think we can get away. I see it, I see it. Brace yourselves.
Look at you, bully ass bitch.
Oh! Oh! Completed! That means I can quit now, right?